Hey minions, welcome to Crank It Up. I'm Jim Price, and on this episode of Action Awareness, I want to talk about Things Best Not Known of Miskatonic University. Things Best Not Known is a special action that can increase a minion's power before base scores, increasing it by 2, 4, or 6 power, depending on how many Madness cards you draw. This is an interesting trade-off because Madness makes you lose VP. This action draws Madness cards, ostensibly to steal a base from someone. Most bases have a 2 VP split between first and second, and I don't think you should use this card to go from third to second unless that point really made a difference or it was a rare 4-3-1 base. But you can drop the 3 Madness cards, which is a guaranteed loss of 1 VP, possibly 2 if you have an odd number of Madness previously. So you are losing 2 VP to perhaps gain 2 more VP, maybe less, but you are denying someone else from gaining 2 more than you, which is incentive enough. But this card does so much more than that, and Madness is not an immediate loss of VP or a death sentence, particularly for Miskatonic University. It's true, managing your Madness count is the key to Miskatonic University. In March Smashness, they dominated most of the game and lost 14-14 on a Madness tie, which was crazy to watch. But the Miskatonic have ways of removing Madness, so it's not the worst thing to have it, and if you could use the Madness to win more bases and create more advantages, then it is worth it. But Things Best Not Known has quite a few very interesting plays that are worth mentioning because they add a lot of intrigue to the card beyond just stealing a base from someone. Many of these scenarios come through in multiplayer. First, you'll notice that the power can be given to any minion, not just your own. As a special, this is always very powerful because of the block the probe strategy. In that video, I talked about how, in a multiplayer game, a player who shall remain anonymous and totally wasn't Turing Jedi played Block the Probe on our other opponent to prevent me from winning that base. Block the Probe requires you to be in close proximity, but Things Best Not Known has a much larger margin for error. If you really needed to guarantee someone not win a base, this card can do that. It can also prevent an Angry Pillager's play, which costs someone guaranteed points. This is also a great way to trigger Counting Cheap, which can provide more power with less Madness cards being drawn. This works well in multiplayer when you give power to the third place opponent so that you aren't reducing your net gain on the player in the lead. Counting Sheep only requires that the power of another player's minion increase, regardless of who actually increased it. Obviously, this is a great way to win ninja bases, particularly Winter Squashed, because the split is so large. I really like this on the Great White North because it's very difficult for your opponents to guard against it, given that they want to move a singularly large minion off that base, which puts the other minions in relative close proximity. My personal favorite play is to guarantee that I can win the base by myself. How does an action that increases power do this? By making sure that someone's only minion is the most powerful minion, again because you can give the power to anyone. When they have the largest minion, you can play Old Man Jenkins, essentially creating the circumstances yourself for the play. All you need to do is tie your highest minion, because Old Man Jenkins lets you choose in the case of ties. I've created this situation by drawing just 1 Madness card, and the ability to get 4 or 5 uncontested points more than makes up for any future Madness reduction I'll be dealing with. Of course, Madness doesn't have to be a crutch. You can give it away with Cthulhu and his Star Spawn, but that requires a specific pairing, and I'm not crazy about them together. Instead, think of what the Madness can do for Miskatonic University. As a general rule, I prefer to use Things Best Not Known as my source of Madness cards over the Researcher, because it lets me steal a base significantly from an opponent. Drawing from the Researcher may be a few Madness too many. Instead, that Madness can be a guaranteed extra action in minion play from the Professor. It can be +1 power from It Just Might Work. One of the problems with Miskatonic University is that they lack reliable card draw. Field Trip can be slow, and also runs the risk of putting Madness into your deck where you don't want it. Also, Toby Fabinger will kill me if I recommend using the Librarian under any circumstance. Instead, Madness is great for the Spirit of the Forest, as you can draw 2 cards and also get rid of the card. This helps you to get to your better Miskatonic University cards that create the engine that allow you to go nuts with Madness and win many bases. It also helps you to get to the Madness removal cards that make up for any penalty that came with using Things Best Not Known. If you do get this card early, it's great to put yourself in a position to steal a base on someone else's turn. As far as specials go, +6 power is on the higher side of boosts that can come from a single card play. There are others that could potentially overtake it, but +6 is really good comparatively. If you have a means of sending a minion into another base, that 6 power may be enough to break a second base, which would definitely make up for the madness reduction. When you look at the Miskatonic actions, they don't have a lot of mid-game actions other than Field Trip. They have a lot of situational cards or terminal plays, so you'd be wasting those action opportunities anyway. You're drawing the madness, not discarding them, so you have plenty of time to get rid of it over the course of the game. If you stole a base from someone, you're likely to start slow on the next base anyway, so you can get rid of one of those cards the very next turn. If you do use this late in the game, you need to be perfect on your math, because it's very possible that the points you gain may not make up for the points you lost. If not done properly, you can cost yourself the game, or think that you've delayed it only to look like a fool afterward. It happens. But normally, things best not known can ensure that someone else doesn't win a base, even if the points you gain are a wash. Sometimes that is good enough, and you just have to pick your spots carefully. There is a lot to like about this card though. It may be highly situational, but you are also capable of creating your own moments for it. What do you think of this card? Let me know in the comments. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let's shut it down.